And this is a story about when I was a boy, I don't know, 5, 6 years old, somewhere in there. And we lived in Jamestown, New York, on 14th Street, number 45, which was just halfway up this hill. We lived on a street that was up a hill, and it was at the top of the hill was Main Street, very busy road, and at the bottom of the street was Washington Street. That was another busy road. And down toward the end of that street was where my friend Jack Lingenfelter lived. And we would go down, I would go down to Jack Lingenfelter's, and Junior Churchill would come over, and Eugene, the Jeep, we called him, Golden, were there. And we would play cars and trucks. Margaret Abbott might have been there too. She could be a cars or a trucks person. And when we played cars or trucks, it wasn't a game we were playing. It was just describing what we were doing. And mostly we were moving earth. So we would dig up a part of whosever front yard it was. Often that was Jack's. And we'd take all the grass out and have little cars and trucks. Little dump trucks were very popular with us. And we would be down there, and the thing you did when you played cars and trucks was there was an audible part to it. When you moved your car or your truck, you made the sound of a car or a truck. You hear the gears shift? Yeah, that was us. And I always maintain that's where boys got their deep voices. They just started, men get their deep voices from that. So I was down there one day doing this and playing with the fellows. And my mother came out. It was supper time. She came out, and we're halfway up the hill, and we're almost down at the bottom. And my mother comes out of our house and leans out over the counter, over the railing, and she calls, "Tommy," because that's what they called me in those days. So I was busy doing things. I heard her, and I just, without even looking up, I said, "Coming." Backed my truck around and dumped out the dirt and everything. I didn't go home. So a few minutes later, my mother came back out on the porch, and she called again, "Tommy." I didn't go that time either. Finally, a few minutes passed, and she came back out on the porch, and this time there was just a little timbre difference to her voice. And she said, "Tommy, coming." I didn't go up that time either. I didn't go up, in fact, until all my little friends had gone in to eat dinner. And then there was nobody to play with, so I decided I'd go home and see what was for supper. So I walked up Jack's side of the street, got up to opposite my house, crossed over the street, stepped on the manhole cover for luck, went up and up onto the porch, across we had a grass rug on the porch, and went to the door, opened the screen door, and there, by God, the main door was shut. Now, this was a summer's day. It wasn't cold. It was summer. And I didn't know why that wooden door would be shut, but I know how to open the door. So I reached up and I turned the handle, but I found the door was stuck. So I turned it the other way, and it was still stuck. So I leaned against it. I got nothing. But I knew how to open a door if it wouldn't open. So I just stood there and went, "Mommy!" Nothing. Finally, a voice came from out way in the gizzard of that house, back in the kitchen part of that house. "Coming." And I waited. Nothing happened. So I kicked the door again. I called, "Mommy!" Once again. "Coming." Nothing. I was banging away at the door, and this time I could hear something on the other side of the door. I heard a clicking and a little metal rasping together right up there by the keyhole. That door hadn't been stuck. That door had been locked. And the door opened just enough so I could see the middle part of my mother. And the apron was familiar to me. I knew it was my mother because of the apron, and she looked down and she said, "Yes? What do you want?" I said, I want to come in. And she said, who are you? I said, I'm Tommy. No, she says, no, I don't think so. She says, interestingly enough, I have a boy named Tommy, but Tommy, my Tommy, when I call him, he always comes. Well, now my lip is beginning to quiver, and I'm saying, I'm your Tommy. I'm your Tommy. I want to come in for dinner. And she said, no, I don't think so. She said, my Tommy always comes, and this is the first time I've seen you. So we're up at the table, we're eating, and I can't have people in the house. I can't have strangers in the house. That's what she said. So goodbye. And she shut the door. Oh, that was terrible. What a moment. What a moment to be denied by your mother. I turned then and moved past the screen door, walked across that grass rug, tears streaming down. I went over to the railing where my mother had leaned out over, and I looked up and down the street. There was nothing on the street. There was no kids. They were all in with their mothers who knew who they were. And there wasn't even a dog on the street, and I stood there crying, and then I could hear the door behind me open. And there, praise God, stood my own mother. And she swung that screen door open too, and she said, you want to come in now? And I said, yes, I do. All right, she said, come in, get in this house, wash your hands, and wash that face, and get up to the table. Well, I'm here today to tell you that my father never forgot that day until he died. My sister Miriam, the oldest child, she never forgot that day till she died. And my sister Jean, who told me later in life that she thought she was never going to see her baby brother ever again. And it was Jean who said to our mother, as mother aged and was dying, they were talking about reminiscing, and Jean looked down at Mother in her bed and she said, Mother, do you remember the day that you locked Tommy out of the house? Mother said, yes, I do. And Jean said, Mother, you could have marked that boy for life. What a terrible thing to say, that this wasn't his house, you weren't his mother. That was terrible. And my mother said to Jean, yes, that may all well be true. But I'll say this, from that day on, when I called that boy, he came.